Hi and welcome back to another video of jPlay. I am Marcus and today I'm starting a new playthrough series, and that's Historia, which is on my shelf for ages. I remember I did a walkthrough video back then for the German crowdfunding campaign on Spielschmiede. Back then the solo mode and the Civ bots were not yet available, which is the reason why I'm doing those today, because they shipped with a final version. Again, this is on my shelf for quite some time already. So back then I did multiplayer experience, but I've never played the solo experience so far, and I've never used Civ bots so far. So bear with me, a lot of things can go terribly wrong here. But yeah, let's see how things go. And here we are. That's pretty much the setup for a 6-player game, because I'm playing against all 5 Civ bots here. Not sure if that's a good idea, but the rules say that's the normal way to do. You backfill all, or you fill up all the empty ranks with Civ bots. So that's what I'm doing. You can really get into the game with fewer of those, but I decided to basically go all in on those. On top of this, I decided to go with a solo variant by Simon, aka Fried Egg, on the Geek. It really sounds like a good idea, because otherwise the game would be a little bit too, I don't know, plannable. And I, as you know, prefer a little bit of chaos in my games. So there is now also a die mechanic in this game, which more or less makes the bots at some point in time also call for revolution that usually then turns around. And because in the pure solo game, that's really all on you, that you are deciding when to call for the end of the round. This can be much tougher this way, but I think tough is okay. Much like in the multiplayer game, we play the game over 1, 2, 3 eras, and each era consists of 1, 2, 3, 4 turns, and rounds, turns in this case, but it's pretty much the same thing. And at the end of era 3, if we are still alive, we tally up all our victory points, and whoever has the most victory points wins the game. So this is something I really like about this game. It's not just beat your own score. No, first of all, you have to stay alive. So pretty much, if this is me, the blue cube, if my last cube gets whatever removed by a military action by those bots, then I'm out of the game and immediately lose the game. And on top of this, I also have to make sure to score enough victory points to win this game. Really an enjoyable experience, to be honest. At least I think. That is. But again, I really don't like games where you are beating your own score. It feels like boring to me. I really want to feel like winning or losing actually matters. As you are not using the leaders in the solo game, I decided to go with a variant with those event cards here. And this is our first event cards, which are the Crusades, which is a good event actually. So whenever we are doing this, what is it? I can't remember. This action here, I think we are moving into a different expansion, I believe. Expansion action, exactly. Then we would gain 1 wonder from the display. But I will go through all of those mechanics as I go. For now, it's really important I'm using events, because we are not using any leaders. The main reason for that is because all of the leaders, or most of the leaders at least, all call for, you gain extra points for those leaders, but they all say who has the most victory, who has the most military, who has the most, but you're not comparing the strength to basically the bots in this case, which is also the reason why you usually remove all of those wonders from the deck that also call for most technology, most military, whatever it is. But in this case, those are our wonders we have at our disposal as of round 1 or turn 1, and I think then it's really time to get cracking here. This die here is already part of the solo variant, so we start at level 1 here. Whenever I take an action which is not the revolution action, I have to pretty much increase it by at least 1. This can be 2 or 3 at some point in time. If it reaches 4 or more, then we would roll the other die, and if we meet or roll below that number, then basically this means one of the other Civ bots has called for revolution, which then ends the turn. Again, usually you really get to choose when to call for a revolution and when not. One last thing to do is to draw our advisor. I decided to play with a German civilization, German culture here, makes sense. And each of those civilizations come with 5 very unique advisors, which give them special powers. And I have shuffled those, so I will draw the first one. And here we have a Gutenberg. Awesome. And I can play him pretty much as a normal action card, and he's really good, which means I can get back up to 3 of my power cubes here once they've spent, and when I play him I immediately score 2 victory points. How cool is that? So yeah, let's totally take him onto our hand. Then we are really pretty much good to go. We start the game with 4 of those power cubes. 1 goes to the basically already discarded box. 1 I placed here on one of those territories here, and I thought for a while if I would have been wise to place it there, but the idea is really I have to get rid of one of those spots relatively quickly, and as I always go first, here I have a chance doing that. There was also one, I would say, unfortunate situations here because none of the bots showed up on basically the new world. Because you determine those things randomly, and those bots always go to the highest value here. So those little numbers on those chits are pretty much only for the Civ bots here. The left hand side, those are victory points. The right hand side really determined on basically the priority order where they would move to. All of those were on the right hand side, or really did that totally random. At some point in time I really thought maybe I should have started here in order to be protected, but then I don't know, I also want to basically interact with them, because if I start here I will not be able to interact with any of those until we get navigation developed. So could really come back to bite us in the behind, because I can lose relatively quickly, but it also gives me a little bit of pressure doing something in respect to military actions. As I mentioned, we will go first, and right now we have just developed fire, it seems, which means I'm allowed to play 1 action card per action turn, pretty much. Right now I'm the solo player, and the AI will not play any cards until we really have ended the round. So I can do my full turn, full round, and then all of those AIs will come back to me. But again, I have some good chances to maybe get rid of at least one of those AI players or Civ bots in order to prepare me and make me a little bit stronger, and also weaken my opposition in this case. So again, I will play 1 action card now, and I think I will start with a technology card here. There is a basic action which you can usually always play, and then there's an advanced action on some of those cards, not all of those cards. The advanced action only can be done if I have developed, I think, mathematics, I believe. Basically, I have to go all the way here to the right on the development matrix that is. So we have 1 dimension, which is here the X, which depicts your technology. So you get new technologies, new capabilities and whatnot. And we have the Y-axis, which says this is your military power. Usually you get some cubes back, you get some cards back, but it's really important when doing war, you compare the strength to the civilization you're attacking. If you have more military strength than the opposing forces, then you are good. You can basically do a war or whatever. If not, then you are in a situation, and you really have to do something about it. But this is really the art in this game, when to go right, when to go up. So but again, in order to play the advanced card for technology, we have to go all the way to here, which really takes some time. So in this case, there is no real choice. We will play 1 of our power cubes, place it into this drop zone here, into our used pile, and then we can do the action. In this case, it's really simple. We get 1 movement here on the technology track, so 1 step to the right. We cannot move any further than this, so 1 step more is fine, but then there is basically a wall. We have to go up first, but right now that's okay. So it seems we have developed agriculture, I would say, and this also allows us to play military cards. Now this is one of the cards that was not in our hand at the start of the game, but now we have unlocked it, so we can basically put this card into our hand, which we can pretty much use right away. The card we played goes into a discard row, I would say. Really not just a discard pile, a discard row, because the order of things matter here. Now we go to the solo variant, and then thanks again, Fried Egg, for making this available. Really sounds very, very promising. Right now all of our Civ boards are on the chieftain level, though they start at level 3, I would say. They each draw 3 cards later on. which means we also only increase this die by 1. It's still below 4, so we are not rolling the other die, so I can continue basically playing my cards until I maybe want to choose playing the Revolution card. But keep in mind, I can only play, where is this Revolution card? Here, when I have at least 3 cards in my discard row, not before that. That's a bit more important when playing with the multiplayer rules, but I think I come to that later on too. Okay, next action card, and I think I want to play the art action here. Again, I will put this onto my discard row here. I can only do the advanced action if I have developed writing, maybe, I don't know. So I can now spend my final power cube, so I will place it into the discard pile in order to gain one of those wonders. Right now they're all available, so I think let's go for Cigarette here. Yeah, that's a pretty nice one. Let's grab this, and I can use that anytime during my turn actually. So I can spend 1 power cube, then it gets flipped at some point in time during end of turn. It gets usually reactivated, so I can really use it once per turn. Usually I spend 1 power cube and then I will score 1 victory point. Right now I'm out of power cubes, which is not that big of a deal, so I cannot use it right away. One final thing to do is to increase the counter by 1. Keep in mind they're still on chieftain level, so I only increase it 1. The first spot that goes to noble, I have to do basically 2 increases, and when the first spot goes to the king level, I have to do that 3 times. So really the game is speeding up quite significantly this way, and I'm pretty sure I will lose with this variant badly. I'm pretty sure, because I've never played with it, but I still feel this is the more interesting thing to watch for you guys too. So next card, and I think I will go with Gutenberg here. Yeah, that's for sure. So I get 3 of those cubes back, all of the cubes that are currently in the reserve or in the drop zone pretty much, and I will also score my first 2 victory points. And I may have already made a mistake actually. I didn't follow the plan, but really this combination with this card and this thing was really great. So before I increase this, let's use Cigarette. So I will spend 1 of the cubes I just got back to activate Cigarette, which gives me an additional victory point. Let's increase the die, and I think the way I understood the solo rules, you check before if it's on 4 or less or not, after you basically place it. Though I really still get to play at least the 4th card now, which is really important actually. And by the way, this is crap. This goes to the bottom of my advisor stack. It could come up later on, but not so likely, to be honest. So then I need to play my next card, and this has to be a military advancement. I think that's really key now. So again, I can do metalworks, then I can do basically 3 for 2 stages, but right now I don't have it. So I will spend 1 of my cubes in order to increase my military power here. But now I also have to roll the die because I was on 4. Yeah, we are not increasing it now. That's a 7, so we are good, which means this die goes up to a 5, which means we get to take at least 1 more action this round. And I guess I want to play the expansion. Yeah, that's what we need to do. We have not yet invented the wheel, so I cannot do this. So I will basically place my remaining cube here to an adjacent region. This could be here, here, or there. And I think let's go in here. Right now, nothing else would happen. Good thing is he no longer controls this space. This will change, most likely. But there is a good chance that we can do a war action because we have more military power than the others. Because we have used the expansion action, we have triggered the Crusades here, which means whenever we do the expansion, that's the expansion, right? It is, yeah. We get 1 of those wonder cards. And I think let's go for Gnossos, which pretty much says when we use this slavery kind of thing, oppression, I have to check what the name is, we get 1 extra cube back, which is really huge. Of course, we still have to roll the die. That's a 10. I think we are still doing okay. So that's going up to 6. So we get one more action. That's pretty nice. So let's totally do the war action. Again, the condition here, we have to be on at least this agriculture step. We have to have more military power than our opponent, which in this case is pretty easy. So our military power is 2. All of the others are at 1, so we can in theory beat all of those right now. We only share a territory with the purple player, who is the only one we can attack, and of course we will, which means this guy goes away out of the game for good. So we have defeated our very first Civ bot here, which is amazing. And on top of this, we will also score 2 extra victory points. Keep in mind, in the multiplayer game, you can never ever lose your final cube. That's really very special when playing against the Civ bots. And especially also when playing solo. So again, only in the solo game can you really lose your last cube and then, yeah, lose the game. And yeah, but let's not forget to award 2 more points. Let's roll the die. Again, a 10. Wow, we get another round. And now I could really decide if I want to play the revolution card. The main driver for this is I get more cards back actually than basically when the revolution is being called for by someone else. Though this could be an idea at least. But I think I would rather play a raid card, which really always goes to an adjacent nation. Right now I have a lot of adjacent nations, not a problem. I have to be stronger. Right now that's still the case, and if it succeeds, I can reclaim 1 power cube. The other player is not losing anything, but I get my cube back, and on top of this I will score an additional point. And I think this is really what I need to do actually. I think that's really key. Yeah. Let's roll the die. And finally, revolution is called for. So I don't get to choose my cards. According to the solo variant rules here, I think if it's been called for, I think we will decrement the counter by 3 points. So it goes down to 4. So it stays problematic. So it could happen immediately again at the start of the next round. But before we do any end of round things here, we will pretty much conduct the turns of the AI. And we start with the yellow. This was really determined randomly here. And again, they're all on the chieftain level, which says each of those will get to resolve 3 of their AI cards. And yeah, well, this can be pretty tough. Again, we start with yellow, so let's slide it down a little bit so I can remember. This is the first card, and this is what I really like about those AI cards. They're really easy to read. So they're doing a culture action here, whatever it is. So they will remove the rightmost monument or wonder. So that's the last one. It goes away. It's not getting refilled. And on top of this, a yellow will also score the first point. So hooray, the Civ bots are on the board finally. Second card is bad. So they're doing both. They did a technology action and a military action, which means yellow goes 1 to the right, 1 to the top. So I'm no longer stronger than they are. They cannot attack me, but I can also not attack them. But right now, that's still kind of okay, I guess. And as per the solo variant, whenever one of those spots reaches this symbol here, where the normal player gets to play 2 cards per action, basically the wheel, they also will increase to the noble level. So as of then, they will draw 4 cards instead of 3. And then if they make it all the way here to 13, which is medicine, I believe, then they will rise to the king level, and then they will draw 5 cards each end of turn. Last card for yellow. Okay, that's an expansion action and then a war action, and I really was lucky here, I believe at least. In this case, the expansion will go to the highest terrain which is available. Available is any territory that's either empty or where there is a civilization that's pretty much weaker. Right now green, and they're fighting each other, which is cool. So this dude will also move now to this space here, which is amazing. So we know green will be out any second now too, or any minute now too, because we will also do the war action, which pretty much works the same way like on our work, which means green is removed from the map and from the game, and on top of this, yellow will score 2 more points. And these were all of the actions for yellow. Next would be gray. Green is out. I have to remember that. So let's remove all of those discs accordingly. We take all of those cards back, so they all share one deck, and we give them a good shuffle. Actually, let's give them a good shuffle, and then we continue to draw another card. And here's the first one. Same thing, terrible card actually. That's, what did we say? Gray, right. The gray will also do this, which means they will move 1, 2 spaces up here. Not a big deal right now. Purple, I think purple is out, right? Yeah, we have removed purple. It's still around. Only red is now weaker than all of us actually, but right now they are pretty safe down here, so I think they will not get eaten up by any of the other players, quickly at least. Second card for gray, same thing. So we will do this and we will do this. So gray will move into the next available territory. This is not available because we share the same military strength. So for him it's kind of useless. So he will immediately move in here pretty much, but it will score him still 1 extra victory point, basically relatively quickly, to be honest. We will not do the war action on this card because they are not sharing any territories. And of course we also not do the Crusades because there aren't any wonders out there anymore, by the way. I think the same was true already for the yellow player. There was no war action, so they don't get extra points. No. Huh, interesting. And then they will boost their military strength 1 more. And I forgot to give them a victory point here, actually. No, they don't get a victory point here. No, they don't. No, it's just here. So here they get a victory point pretty much, and will also increase on the military trick. They really ignore these symbols here, pretty much the military symbol. But now they are stronger than everyone else, so now they are really a threat to us. I have to do something about that, but let's not forget to award them a victory point. And those are all of the cards for gray. Let's shuffle the deck, and then last but not least it's red. So let's see what he does. He cannot take a wonder, but he can still get a victory point. Hooray, red. Then let's see, second card. That's again the expansion. In this case, that's pretty easy. They can only expand into this territory. Later on, when you have navigation, all of those terrains are adjacent. You can really fly everywhere. Insane. And last card, they will also bomb their military action, and they will also score an additional point. So here's their military power. So right now we are not stronger than any one of those, and only gray can basically beat the hell out of every one of us. And let's not forget to give the red player 1 extra victory point. Nice. Okay, those were all of our actions. Now we go to the end of turn events. So we start here. We look at the government bonus first. Right now we are all in this gray area here, which is, I believe, the clan government, which we call it. The clan government allows each human player to basically get 1 power cube back. Let's do that again. The Civ boards really do not care about that too much. When you look at basically this matrix here on top of the board, you can see that you can score up to 7 points per government bonus step here. I think this is Utopia here, and then here this is the barbaric one, and this is the consumerism one, for example. You can really score different amount of points and gain different advantages on where you are on this script. Really works very well. Really like this mechanic. Then we will basically reactivate all of our wonders. We don't get new wonders out there. This is a different symbol. We don't get any extra one. We only get to reactivate ours, which is still good enough. We get 2 of our oldest cards back that are in our discard row, which are pretty much those 2, not really great. So I might want to consider doing a revolution relatively quickly. Next we would do the player order. In the multiplayer game, the player who is behind in respect to victory points gets to go first and whatnot. But again, I'm solo, I'm always first. So we basically move into the next turn of the first era, which means we have to reveal our next event card. Vesuvius, are you kidding me? All of the players, including the Civ bots, will immediately lose 2 victory points. Wow, are you kidding me? But actually, what good does it do actually? Because if we're all losing 2, I mean, come on. But yeah, okay, in this case we have an edge case because Gray can only lose 1 versus boop, boop, and boop. That's the new order of things actually, and this was already the event. I think there is, yeah, nothing else to do on Vesuvius. Pretty lame event actually. Then we would do our next round. I think we will play one of our, what was it? Revolution cards relatively quickly. We only have one, but one additional problem we have is that the military card is no more, which means we cannot bump our military, and really makes us very, very vulnerable actually. I think this should have been the first card I've played, and this is now I'm learning this game playing solo against those bots, because if I would have played this before I did the culture technology action, then I know I would have gotten it back one way or the other. Really poor planning on my side, which could really, yeah, this could really go south actually by the end of this turn. Curious. But I think I will stop my playthrough for today. I really hope you are enjoying it. Hope to see you soon in one of my other videos. Again, if you like what you see, like and subscribe this video, subscribe to my channel. Again, a big shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. Really appreciate all your support. If you want to support my channel, please check out my page on Patreon. You will definitely find a link in the description, and somewhere else it should pop up. Anyway, and yeah, hope to see you soon in one of my other videos, and until then, bye bye.